going on, guys? Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emory Cuzzy. I'm here with Cameron Selby, and we're going to be going over the Friday night football game. The NFL is putting on a Friday night football game in Brazil between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers, so we'll be talking about this game. Very exciting. Both of these teams are probably top 5 to 6 in the AFC, and it will be an AFC West divisional game, so very important game this early in the year.
Yeah, I'm very shocked that they let a division rivalry that could have division winning implications not only start the season, but be a neutral site in another country. Very interesting to say the least. But hopefully, I mean, we'll find out based on the time when this video is released, because we are shooting this before the season opener on Thursday. But I consider this the true season opener because I actually don't have a confident lean on how this game will take place and transpire, because there are some elements to talk about, and we'll discuss that further. But I'd say let's just jump right into it and get on with our second showdown slate of the season.
Yeah, Baltimore versus the Bills last year was a very close game, kind of like this might be that you're talking about. So, yeah, let's get into it.
All right.
We're going to talk about...
So we're going to start with the Kansas City Chiefs first. Sorry, I'm the one sharing the screen this time.
Yeah,
so
we're doing it a little bit differently today. So we're going to talk about all the skill players, of course, for the Kansas City Chiefs to start it out. Some things to also note: Travis Kelce getting engaged. We don't know if that's going to help or hurt him. Sure. And then Rashee Rice, of course, is going to be out for the first 6 games of the year. So that will change kind of how these guys are looked at. I think that they might have released these prices a little late on purpose just because of the Rashee Rice news.
Right.
So that might be something that goes into all this. But obviously, as you can see, we have 6 guys on the board. I'll let you get going.
And then the other element, just to note, it may not even be a huge impact, but Jalen Royals, who was a standout, a rookie that we really like going to Kansas City, he is not traveling with the team and is ruled out. So just one less body to have in addition to Rashee being out. It's still going to be like a pass catcher by committee like it has been for the last couple seasons, but a little bit more clarity considering he was $3,000 priced above the Tyquan Thorntons, Noah Grays of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. First up, you have Travis Kelce. He is going to be the main tight end. He's been the guy that's done everything for this team for the last many years, and he's getting older. He's playing less snaps, but at the same time, on a showdown slate, 8,600, it seems very reasonable for his talent.
Yeah, and the problem is just trusting him on a week in and week out basis this year. That's why his ADP, we talked about that in best ball, it fell so much, and he's the epitome of a tight end that we can now say, oh, best ball and redraft are very different with him. I'm not sure if I can invest in him in a redraft league and having to make start decisions and not having a quality backup behind. But with best ball, you get the best weeks and it automatically imports it. It kind of is what it is, and he just kind of was in a strong tier, but had a little bit lower floor than his contemporaries that are in that same tier. But him, Noah Gray, who was a DFS showdown darling before, for some reason his price went all the way up to like 3,800 towards the end of the season. It's back down to 1,600, and I don't really get it. I did mention about when we talked about Luke Schoonmaker on the opener showdown between Dallas and Philly, how he's probably 1,000, 1,500 lower than what Noah Gray is going to be. And no, they're the same price.
Same exact price. Yeah.
I guess is what it is. It's a very interesting theory. Not many people are going to flock to him, especially if you do invest in Travis Kelce. So worth noting, he's kind of sticks out as a value instead of trying to pick and choose which one of these Kansas City receivers is going to catch that touchdown for 4 yards.
Yeah, the next 4 guys, all receivers. Xavier Worthy's going to be the main guy here, and he'll be a guy that we'll really talk about, but he is going to be getting the bump as the wide receiver 1 in this offense with Rashee Rice out. Then you have Hollywood Brown, who missed a good amount of the offseason dealing with injury, but he's back. He's going to be playing tomorrow when this video comes out. And he's a solid look because he will be the wide receiver 2 in an offense with a great quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, So, and then you have some dart throws and Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton has been kind of the rave of camp, in my opinion. So we will see.
Yeah, for sure. And for what it's worth, of all these guys, other than Kelce and Worthy, I think, I guess Marquise Brown too, because he was naturally going to be the wide receiver 2 after Rashee was out. But Juju has by far the highest receiving prop of the others for Kansas City. So worth noting, obviously his price is baked in for that as a result. But we did see a showdown before. I remember last year I talked you out of playing him, and that was the game where he went for 100 yards in the first half, less
Yep.
than 10% owned, and you're still a little mad at me for that. So,
It was a little sad for sure.
but it is what it is. But let's talk about another complicated aspect of this offense, and
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
is the plethora of running backs that we still don't know who all will be active. But there's 4 that they kept, not Carson Steele, despite him not showing out and him having a touchdown prop. Please don't pick it on
Yeah. He's on
on.
their practice squad is what I saw. I saw
Yeah,
he
he's
did
on
get
the
picked up
practice
on the practice
squad,
squad.
but yeah, who knows how many they're going to have for the game day roster. It's something to keep an eye on, especially we'll get into it a little bit. But Isaiah Pacheco leading the way. His price is all the way at 76. It's natural for a starting running back to be that way, but he never really gained back that full-time role that we saw in his rookie-ish year
Mm-hmm.
after his broken leg, and we just kind of are a little hesitant in investing in him as a result. It just feels like it's just one of many. Even in the preseason game where there was they got into the red zone, it was like a Brashard Smith target, a Brashard Smith catch and run, and then Kareem Hunt got the first touch, and then Isaiah Pacheco came in to score the
Right.
touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's a very much a we don't really know, and it is completely going to be at random on who scores. So are you willing to invest that high in somebody like that?
So looking at prize picks right now, Isaiah Pacheco has a prop of 12 rushing attempts.
Ooh.
So I was like, yeah, I was kind of surprised it was at 12. And then Kareem Hunt has a prop of 5.5 rushing attempts. So they're not sure either at prize picks. And you can tell by the price on Kareem Hunt. And then even if you get one of these 2 guys at the bottom, Elijah Mitchell or Rashard Smith, and they catch one pass at $200 or $400, or they get a couple touches, you're going to get paid off if they can get 10 yards. Literally 2 points is going to be enough on this slate for one of those guys almost to pan out, as long as you hit the right guys up top.
Yeah, and if you're familiar or unfamiliar with showdown contests and slates, when you have a lot of high priority options that have either the floor or the ceiling, or it's going to be a shootout caliber of a game,
Mm-hmm.
getting that $200 or $400 player, even if it's just 2 points, will be in the optimal line on a lot of occasions. So don't worry about the lack of ceiling for certain guys like that. And obviously, there's not an obvious play down there, which is good to know because that's just
Right.
going to keep the ownership down and hopefully keep less people duplicating the line that you end up making if you go that route.
Yeah, and then last guy on this group is, of course, Patrick Mahomes. Not much to
Mhm.
have to say about him. He's probably the highest projected player of any player, and as long as he is on the field and you want to play his pass catchers, of course, you're going to need to get him a little bit. And I think that, he'll probably come in at like 80 to 90%. So if this is a good guy to also get different from the field, but I don't know that it's worth it this week personally. I think that getting Patrick Mahomes in your line would probably be a pretty good idea.
Mhm. Yeah, I honestly I had a feeling that there could be a chance that he could be all the way at 11,000 to give you
Mm-hmm.
some flexibility, but considering he's only 10,000, I
Gonna be
know the
hard.
last couple of seasons it's been a little frustrating week in and week out because he hasn't been showing the 5,000 passing yard, 50 touchdown, ceiling that we've seen before. But one that could change this year due to it looks like the priority is to be pushing the ball down the field more,
Mm-hmm.
having better skill group players than they have before in recent years is certainly going to help that cause. But on a slate like this, where there's not a lot of ceiling plays, it's kind of like he's the best floor option you can play. And it just kind of makes a lot of things work. If you're going to go one of the 2 quarterbacks, it's probably
Right.
him. So,
Exactly. Um,
but
Chargers?
yeah, let's go ahead and go to what is considered the home team, even though it's a neutral site. And then we'll load up on the pass catchers.
Keenan. Yeah.
Keenan, Quentin,
Quentin.
Trey,
Trey.
and
Both
then
tight ends.
up. I mean, there's like 72 tight ends on this team, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Will Disley is
Yep.
the other. You also got Fisk. Gadsden was a sexy 20th round pick in best ball. And
Mm-hmm.
then I think there was one more. I don't even know his name.
Matlock. I don't even
Yeah,
know.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, these
Yeah.
are the main 6 to at least talk about for the time being.
Yeah. So starting it off, it's obviously Lad McConkey is the main guy. He's the most expensive guy in the slate, which makes him like if you're gonna play him, like you're gonna it's actually pretty easy to roster construct. Actually, like we talked about the other slate when we did Philly versus Cowboys, it was a little bit harder to get. On this slate, you're actually able to do that. That's not a problem. So I think Ladd's actually very much so in play. So getting him at his 10-6 price tag makes sense. Keenan Allen is the wide receiver too. He got picked up in the offseason. Quentin Johnston, that hurt his production most likely because of the fact that Keenan's back. And Trey Harris, of course, then also got relegated because of it. So this is the top 4 receivers there in the middle, and I think that all of them are playable. But the problem is I just want to get to the top guys as much as possible, and I'll probably just try to spend down at other spots so that I can make that happen.
Yeah, and also if you were paying attention, following along with the preseason, Quentin Johnson, when the last time we saw him, got knocked out on a go ball. It looks like he's fine. You know, he did spend overnight in the hospital for precaution, but he is good to go in terms of playing. But again, the wrinkle, the fact that Keenan Allen's there now, they drafted Trey Harris in the second round, and also Lambert Smith, who was a sexy name as well, that was having a hell of a camp. It's kind of becoming suddenly a very, or not, I wouldn't say very deep, but deep enough to where it's going to be frustrating outside of Lad McConkey to see week in and week out to trust any of these guys to have a significant, consistent share of targets.
Yeah, and then at the tight end position, you have another situation kind of similar to that. I just think that the Chargers have done a really good job of drafting skill players, and now they have a bottleneck kind of situation. Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin are going to be the starters. They'll get the most run, but behind them, I could see a situation like how Stone Smart came in last year. That would be Yronde Gaskins coming in and playing kind of in the slot for like 10% of the snaps, 20% of the snaps, and making you annoyed that he caught the ball 3 times because when he's out there, they're gonna throw it to him. So I think that this team is really interesting. I think it might be too early for some of these rookies, like you said, KLS, Lambert Smith, and then Gadsden's. I just think it might be too early in the year, but as the year goes on, they're going to make some annoying plays for fantasy owners where you're like, oh, damn, like, I wish that was Ladd. I wish that was Amari and Hampton. You know what I mean? And that kind of stuff. So.
Right. And speaking of Omar and Hampton, we'll click on his name and Najee, who has both eyes. We have confirmed that he will be playing. $7,000 is going to be a price tag that nobody's going to get to. So if you think that this could be a split early on, playing 20 Lions, you might be double the field of Najee Harris if you just include him in one. Like that is how low owned he'll be based on this price. Nobody was going to want to touch him, but he could still bake in a solid 8 to 10 touches just organically, and it could make things work if you wanted to go that route.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be far away.
Yes.
But that's okay. Like,
yeah,
I don't think
we don't do 20 max on these kinds of contests. But I'm just saying, if you're a large field player, it's really easy to get overweight to somebody that just nobody wants to play. And because the prices are kind of spread out, but nothing unreasonable, it's just kind of easy to click on certain things. But Omarion Hampton is the talk of the backfield. Really excited for him. The only question is how much of a workhorse role will he have? I think is a benefit in terms of his season-long outlook that he started out and played with the ones the entire preseason because of the Najee Harris injury. I think that's going to go a long way, but still it's week 1. And I think people really need to pepper their expectations of rookies instantly breaking out, especially if they have a serviceable backup behind them.
Yeah, I think there's probably a 60-40 split just because Najee's been out of the game. And so you probably expect something 60-40 and, 65-35. So I will be playing a little bit Omarion. I think his price is reasonable at $8,000, especially if you have Isaiah Pacheco at 7,600 right underneath him. And it's like, okay, well, I'm more confident that Omarion will be on the field.
For sure.
And then you have Justin Herbert, of course, at 9,800. He's the last guy. I don't love his production as a quarterback because of the situation that they just love to run the ball. The Chargers just love running the ball, and Justin Herbert kind of gets left. But when he does do well, you see 31 points up there on the board. So it's not like he doesn't have those in his bag. But he against the Kansas City Chiefs, 13 points there. And 11.
And he had 11.
I'm less confident with him against good defenses or defenses where they want to run the ball against him.
Yeah, and that's also the interesting thing because both games they played last year, each team did not score 20 points both times. So this was a defensive battle. So it's just worth noting to temper your expectations of some kind of shootout because both defenses are pretty solid. Chargers were number 1 scoring defense in the NFL last year. Chiefs have always been a top 10 caliber defense with Steve Spagnuolo as the DC. And so I don't expect any kind of fireworks here, but there could be points to be had, in some kind of regard.
Yeah, let's stop the share and go
Mm-hmm.
over to our big time plays. I'm going to start with my must play. My must play is Patrick Mahomes because I think that the floor is just there. You can't really get away from that part of it, and he's going to be featured on a lot of plays. I'm also not confident in their rushing game, so I think even in the red zone, he gets the opportunity to throw the ball.
Yeah, and kind of correlating with that, my must play is Xavier Worthy. You mentioned earlier how they could have been delaying this release because of the Rashid Rice news, and if that makes sense, and he's $200, why is Xavier Worthy only 9,000? Why is he
Mm-hmm.
more than 1,500 lower than Ladd McConkey? I would have been more interested in Xavier Worthy as a play, even if he was more expensive than Ladd McConkey. So you're getting a $1,600 discount, but that just allows you to fit a lot more than you would expect up top. So it really excites me to put him in his touchdown prop. If you follow our Discord, we right before the Rashid Rice news came out, Underdog still had it at 1.32x to score a touchdown, and we jumped on that, and immediately they took off the prop right after that line got submitted, and then now it's down to like 1.06x, so
Mm-hmm.
almost even money to score a touchdown. So I just feel really good about his outlook in this game.
Absolutely, completely agree. My fade is going to be Najee Harris, who we talked about. I think I just want to get more Omari and Hampton in general, and I think that's the side of the backfield I want. And also, just want to put this out there: Prize Picks currently only has Najee Harris's rush attempt line at 6,
Mm,
so at $7,000, it's just hard to get there
yeah.
unless he scores a touchdown. Maybe even he might have to score a couple to get to the optimal line at that
No, he
situation.
he is 100%. If he is going to work out, he has to score a touchdown. He is touchdown or bust to the nth degree in this game based on this price. But him falling in is just not, and everybody else kind of being held to the 10 to 15 that
Mm-hmm.
could be expected wouldn't be shocking to me. It's not like there's a ton of huge props out there outside of Ladd and Xavier Worthy. Everybody else is kind of modest. Like even Kelsey's 8,600. He's got a less than 50-yard receiving
Mm-hmm.
prop. So it's one of those things where if everybody else is a dud, he could be one that falls into 11 points with the touchdown, and then he's just not necessarily optimal, but he'll work out for you in that favor because of the contrarianness of his ownership. But with Isaiah Pacheco is going to be my fade. Again, like you said, his rushing attempt at 12.5. I just don't trust his situation. I don't know if he has the 2-minute role anymore. I don't know if he has the goal line role. There's just not a whole lot of just confidence baked in there. And I just kind of prefer to jump into the pass catchers or just find the extra $400 and get to Omarion Hampton. That's just kind of the way I feel about that situation. And I'd just rather attack this game from a pass catching perspective.
Sure, absolutely. And then our contrarian tournament plays. Mine is going to be Will Disley, and it has to do with the fact that he's been actually kind of consistent of like getting targets. Well, I mean, last year, of course, we haven't seen him this year, but I think that at this point in the year, we're not going to see those backup tight ends come in nearly as much. I think Will Disley will be the main receiving tight end, so that gives me a little bit of pause and makes me feel a little bit better. And I think that his price tag 2,400 as a contrarian play, when you're really just thinking about what that means, is like a guy that's going to be really low owned that has an opportunity to pop off. I think he makes the most sense. I would love to say Noah Gray's my contrarian play, but it's just he's not going to be contrarian.
Well, yeah, and the tough thing about slates like these, especially when they're not the featured ones, is that RotoWire, a free tool that we like to reference in terms of projections, because it is free to look up and look at, really bad at ownership and trying to figure
Right.
out who is who. Because not all of these guys are going to be below 10%. That's not how math works.
Mm-hmm.
But it does make a whole lot of sense to invest in him. I will say he and Tyler Conklin both have basically a 4-point projection. So maybe somebody gets 4 targets instead of the 1, and it could very well be Will Disley because we've seen that before. I'm going the route of just going the minimum price and going in with the guy that was our most exposed player in best ball, and that's Brashard Smith. Um, all you need is 2 points, like you said earlier. And right now, that's all he's projected is for 2 points. But guess what? That is the highest value by a mile.
Mm-hmm.
11.6x projected value, according to RotoWire. The next highest is 3.45. So that is just a telltale sign. A lot of people that are playing early on, especially if they're not best ball aficionados, may not even know who he is. But I know the fact that he did have a couple of snaps and immediate targets with the ones when
Right.
he did play in that final preseason game. That's really what gives me the confidence to play him. And it makes me feel even better if hypothetically an Elijah Mitchell, who was flirting with possibly being cut, he ended up being on the roster. But if he is inactive, or say Brashard Smith is the guy that's inactive, well, then same thing kind of applies to Elijah Mitchell being the 400 guy with only a 3 backfield expectation. So it's
Right.
one of those things where he opens up so much being minimum priced. This isn't necessarily a slate that you have to do that, but I really like the leverage of doing so.
Yeah, and I get it. Brashard Smith, a converted receiver, came from Miami, went to SMU, converted to running back after he got there, and then of course got picked in the 7th round. Guess what? Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th rounder. They love doing that. They love getting their guys late, and they also enjoyed Jerick McKinnon a lot, and that's the type of role you're going to get here. So if Brashard Smith, which remember, temper your expectations on rookies, of course, but if Brashard Smith catches one pass,
That's all you
it's
need.
yeah, you're good. So that's always good, of course. Let's talk about some game scripts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll
I
let
can
you
go
go
first
first.
since you went. I'm gonna just say Kansas City holds on to 24-20. Not a lot of confidence. This is not a game I would bet in terms of the spread or go either way. But I just feel like they always play each other close. 12 of the last 14 have been within 10, and 7 of the last 8 within 1 score. So it should be entertaining. It should be close. I don't expect it to be higher scoring or fireworks. But I think Kansas City's done enough to just kind of stay on top. But if the Chargers hold on and take this, it'll go a long ways to finding a way to not be a wild card come January.
Right. I'm
If
actually
I
going to be
didn't,
going with.
sorry, if I
Sorry.
didn't say the score, I don't remember if I did, but it is. I picked them Kansas City to win 24-20 is my final score.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the Chargers winning. Chargers are at home. And overall I'm lower on the Chiefs in the regular season. I think we kind of went over that when we did our prediction show and our season prediction stuff. I think that right now I think Kelsey is on the decline. I think that Rashee Rice is obviously a big hit to them overall. I don't know about this, Kelsey engagement thing, like if it's how it's gonna affect him, because I think that stuff can be kind of in people's heads and can start messing things up. I actually think the defense gets a little bit worse overall this year, and I just feel like there's some weirdish vibes being swept under the rug by this team. So give me the Chargers um, in Brazil, 27-21. I think that they're going to split this year. So as the Chiefs get better throughout the year and like get more comfortable, they're going to need a win, but it'll be in KC. So I think that I have to give the Chargers the first one.
Gotcha. Well, it's fun. It's fun being split. I love agreeing with you, but sometimes it feels like we do that a little too much. So being on
Sure.
different
Yeah.
sides is very interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if our lines reflect that as well, or if we still build something similar. So I'm gonna
You're,
start building.
yeah. Go ahead.
Share screen once more. Do you want to go first, or shall I build
I'll
my
go
first
first
look?
because I think we're going to be pretty close. Funny
Okay.
enough, except for you already told me, yeah, grab Casey.
Mm-hmm.
You already told me that you didn't play one of my guys, so that was good. My captain is actually going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
I'm going to take the floor captain. I think this is more of a this build that I'm about to show everybody is going to be very cash gamey.
Okay.
For that, I'm going to put Ladd and Xavier Worthy in it.
All
Xavier
right.
Worthy. We're going to put Omari Hampton in it. We're going to go with a Hollywood Brown. Harrison Brown. Goodness gracious. Hollywood Brown at 5,800, and then we're going to go down and
All
get
the way
Mr.
down.
Noah Gray. So you get 3 pass catchers. I kind of built this script as if it was going to be like a big time shootout type of game,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I like the idea of getting Mahomes with his top pass catchers. I feel like I'm getting all the touchdowns that he throws with those 3. Somehow, I'm worried about fading Kelsey, but like I said, I don't want to play him with all this stuff going on outside of football.
Right.
That makes me a little bit nervous about him in that way. So
Yeah, and I mean, he started having a lot of things going on last year, and I feel like it kind of affected his play. I know he was also banged up, but
mm-hmm.
it was more inconsistent than we've ever seen. I think it had a little bit more to do with just age. But
Yeah,
if you look at last
sure.
year's games, he had a 7 for 89. That was the game that I think that was the first the game that Rasheed tore his ACL, and
Mm-hmm.
so he was
Game
kind
3.
of on the fly, off the script. the go-to guy, and then the next one less than 10 fantasy points. So that's not going to get it done at $8,600. So
Yeah.
pretty similar build.
Yeah.
I would say.
Okay, cool.
I'm going a different route. Same captain though. Mahomes, I'm completely on board with you being that captain. I think not only does he have the highest ceiling, but I think by feel even stronger about his floor, which
Right,
is
right,
good to
right.
see. And then obviously these two pass catchers don't need to say much to invest in them. Putting my tournament play in there, Brashard Smith.
Sure.
That opens up a lot of money. But I decided to go double quarterback in this build,
Okay.
going with Justin Herbert. And then from here, I think the way I want to do it to leave a little bit of salary on the table, because it is kind of a chalky build aside Brashard Smith, who could very well get 10% ownership, especially if Elijah Mitchell is ruled out.
Mm-hmm.
But picking either kicker, that leaves you $4,600. Doesn't really matter. Might play a line with both just to make sure that I get the first place line. But say you go with Butker for a little bit more correlation with your Kansas City guys, leave $600 on the table, and that's just kind of how it makes it work.
Yeah, and I texted you a little bit about this, but I'm okay with if you go back to my line, and I'll talk through it. Leave
Yeah.
Brashard. Oh,
Oh,
just kidding. It's
sorry.
cool. But I think you can just leave the money on the table. Like, I don't think this is that type of one where you just have to, pay for everybody and not leave money on the table. Because I think
Essentially, instead of
you go
like
Hollywood
going the
right here.
same five, but instead of Gray, you go all the way down to Brashard. You got 1,400
Right,
remainder.
exactly. And change it all up because like at this point, I just feel like this is the type of slate where you're not necessary. Like I don't think the optimal line will be, maxed out by any means.
Right.
I'd like to build with one of the receivers. So let's try Worthy first.
Worthy a captain.
Yeah, let's
Already.
do him at cap. I think that's a good way to start because I think this has more upside possibly overall, just because Worthy could have 2 touchdowns and all of a sudden you're like, okay, he's the optimal captain. It doesn't take much for him to get there
Right.
if he can get those end zone looks.
All
Gotta
right.
go
And I'm
Mahomes.
assuming you're going that must play. And then where else are you going with this one?
Let's go McConkey. Let's fade. Um, let's see. Let's go Herbert. Actually, let's go Herbert on this one.
Okay.
Go Disley. I think.
That's
Okay,
enough
it's Kareem
for
Hunt.
kind of
Trey
gross if
Harris.
you believe in a Juju. Get some redemption there.
Yeah, you could get Juju. Yeah, he did well in a couple games last year. You could also leave some money on the table and not go Disley.
You can still have that that thing that we talked about previously where you're just going Brown and then all the way down you get Mr.
$200.
Brashard Smith.
Sure, yeah.
You got that 100. And so basically the only difference is from your line is going down to Brashard Smith from Noah Gray, going captain Xavier Worthy instead of Patrick Mahomes, which the last Showdown slate we did witness he was the optimal captain despite losing by 20 plus points, and then going Justin Herbert over Amari and Hampton, which probably is a little bit safer. You could argue about the upside one way or the other, but that's basically the only differences in this scenario.
What about a Chargers heavy build? Is there a 4-2
like a 4-2?
Chargers that we like? Because the Chargers are pretty, unfortunately, they have 3 guys that we're really getting to, and then after that, it's kind of hard to find who we want. Unless
you want to do the kicker route.
Yeah.
But let's spitball. I think the easier way to afford it, go in that, and then you go, kind of gross.
It's kind of gross. Oh, 2,400 Will Disley. Yeah. So you could switch over from Dicker to Butker and whatnot.
Yeah, you were held to 4 field goals instead. This is being very contrarian because you are fading Xavier Worthy in this scenario. Or it's kind of hard with the Charger build too because it's like we feel like the must play is Mahomes, but it's hard to play Mahomes Worthy and then also afford the big 3 of the Chargers. You know?
For sure. I don't even think it's possible unless you.
Well, I think if you went the route of like Amari and Hampton, it's not going to be him, but it could be a receiving game work. Let's see if we can do like a lad captain build. We go boom, 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 and then let's put Worthy.
And then Tyler Conklin. Oh, well, we have Disley already. What about 200?
Nobody's going to play both.
What,
If you went down to
200,
Brashard,
and then you can get whatever kicker
any
you
kicker
want.
you want,
Yeah, that's cool.
that's cool.
That's fun. Yeah, either side.
Hmm.
Because then you get the top pass receiver on
This
both
is a
teams, both
4-2 build
quarterbacks.
going the Chiefs' way, but still fun. It's still a fun line though,
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Hmm.
But yeah, fun, different way to go about things. It's really easy to pick three of the top four up front. It feels like we're on the same page about fading Kelsey outright. And then basically the preference is just, do we want more Herbert? Do we want more Omar and Hampton? But we feel good about the three of Ladd, Mahomes, Worthy. And
Yeah.
then basically the debate is Hampton versus Herbert, and then filling out the rest. That's kind of seems like the vibe that we're on right now.
Yeah, and I feel like there's very few guys I want to get otherwise. Like truly Noah Gray, Brashard Smith, maybe Will Disley.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know after
And
that.
like
Let's see.
and like I said,
Kicker.
like I said previously, if Brashard Smith is ruled out, Elijah Mitchell is in, but he's the three. Let's assume he gets 5 snaps, he gets a target. That's still going to be the same thing. Maybe I feel a little better because I like Brashard Smith as a talent, but kind of same moot point. Maybe
Yeah.
if I played 3 max in this, instead of going 2 out of 3 with Brashard, hypothetically, maybe I only do 1 with Elijah Mitchell in the scenario where Brashard's out, Elijah's in.
Yeah.
But just kind of one of those things.
Yeah, sure.
And
It's
it's
close.
not
It's
like
definitely
there's
close.
it's this is unlike the Thursday slate in respect of there's plenty that we feel fine with, you know, going down low. Like Philly and Dallas, it didn't feel good at all to
Hmm.
me at least. But Juju at 32, like whatever you can talk me into it. Tyler, Will, Noah Gray, we talked about Tyquan Thornton because 2 receivers are out. Like you can convince me with like 4 or 5 guys. So if I can't play Brashard Smith and, for example, Elijah Mitchell, I still think you can kind of fit what you want to with going somebody punting down here.
Yeah. I think I'm actually funny enough, I think I'm more confident in Taekwon over Juju because of the
I
age and
mean,
things, So
it's also baked in the $2,000 price difference. So like with
yeah.
Juju right now, he's projected 5 fantasy points. So he basically would have to outscore. It looks like Tyquan Thornton might not even be projected right now. So I don't know if that's an error or no. He's projected 3.68. So
3 point. Okay. Yeah. So it's
that
not that far
that is
apart.
doubling the value of Juju. So RotoWire actually is on the same page with you in terms of feeling a little better about Tyquan, and I think less people will even. Well, I mean, their phantom ownership says 10%, which is the highest down below 5,000. But who knows? I don't really know if anybody's going to really pick his name unless they announce that he's going to be a starter way beforehand.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do our pop of the week. We're not
Mm-hmm.
going to show prize picks today. We're just going to talk through it. Mine is going to be Ladd McConkey over 15 fantasy points. Right now, he is projected for 5.5 receptions, which is going to give him. Let me grab his numbers before I start going. Okay, so he's projected for 71.5 yards and 5.5 receptions, and then of course he's got a demon for a touchdown. I think that he's going to be the focal point in the offense for the most part. I think he'll probably get over that 5.5 receptions, but I feel comfortable with that 15-point fantasy because I think he can do that with or without a touchdown.
No, that's totally fair. Mine is actually going to be Amar and Hampton. I think most recently we saw it at over 48 and a half rushing yards. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of bounced upper 40s, bounced back and forth over the last couple of days. I just don't find a way for that to not hit if his projection hits, because right now he's projected about 14 fantasy points, which is pretty high to me. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're expecting to go that far, how is he also correlating with just 49 rushing yards? I
Right.
and I'm being conservative, saying I'm on board with you completely about 60-40 split in favor of Omar and Hampton, but that still is going to warrant 12 to 15 rush attempts, and that's
Mm.
just going to be about 3.5 per game. And I just think he can get there pretty handily if this game stays close, and if he's going from a game script like you're thinking where they could be playing from ahead, then that just even works more in his favor.
He's at 11.5 rushing attempts right now. So
That might
that
honestly
that
even be
that's a
the
pretty
better
solid
prop.
number too. Yeah, going over that. But that is the end of our show.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We of course we are putting this out on Thursday, so you will be able to, if you still haven't seen it, watch the Thursday Night Football show that we did over the Eagles and the Cowboys. That hasn't come out yet because the game hasn't happened. And then we're going to be doing Maine tomorrow, and then Sunday we're going to be doing our breakdown of the entire every slate that we can get in
All
an
of it.
hour, basically. Yeah, so as many as we can get to, basically. Early only, afternoon, main, showdowns, whatever, y'all. And we're gonna be letting y'all talk to us through it. So we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Cam, do you have anything?
No, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think and what your thoughts are on this contest if you are indeed playing. We're going to be doing this all year long, Showdown main, and then Sunday live streams for the most part. And we're going to be covering all kinds of slates because we like to hand build and play it all. We don't just kind of navigate to just main like the rest of the YouTube community typically does. We like to attack it all and have fun doing it because we've had profitable days in showdowns and Thursday, Mondays in prime
Mm-hmm.
times. And this, like, we do it all, like even
Yep.
tiers, like all of it.
Everything.
And so we want to do that. We're doing a lot of fun with college so far, hitting 2 for 2 on our community play so far. Emory's prop of the week has smashed last week. It went by over 100 yards, and that was a
Mm-hmm.
rushing quarterback prop, and it went over 100 yards. So kudos to him for that. He's going to go 3 for 3 this week. So get in that Discord, join us, have some fun, and welcome back football.
Absolutely. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see y'all on the main slate.